Welcome to Sanctum. You're listening to The 100 podcast, a show about CW's sci-fi series, The 100. I'm Dan, your mountain man, and today I'm joined by my favorite grounder, Olga.
Hey everybody, today we're discussing Season 6, Episode 2, entitled Red Sun Rising.
So this was a really cool episode that we're going to get into in just one quick second. First, I want to say this is both a video podcast and an audio podcast. So if you want to listen to it on video, youtube.com/doingok. If you want to listen to it on audio, there's a myriad of ways you can do that. The easiest thing to do is just go to the100podcast.com. And there's links to all of our various ways to subscribe versus, Apple Podcasts, all that jazz.
SoundCloud, et cetera,
yes.
et cetera.
And what we do each week here is we do a first reactions podcast, which is what we're doing right now. We just watched the episode. And then on Sundays, we release a full review where we rewatch it, we take notes, we include your feedback, and we go deep dive. But for right now, what did you think?
I thought this episode was fantastic.
Mondo dope.
Sure. Is that what the kids are saying?
Yes, all the kids.
Anyway, Maddie's age. I thought this was a real, A-tier episode of The 100.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the biggest fan of the premiere. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
This episode really got me, super hyped for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it got your blood pumping.
Yes, and other people's blood flowing.
Yeah, very true. I think that they did a number of things I wasn't expecting. I mean, we knew about the whole, Red Sun plotline happening. That I still thought was really, really well done. But meanwhile, we also got this great stuff on the ship. I didn't see it coming that we would have people come onto our ship this quickly.
I feel like we should have expected that there would be stuff on the ground and in space because we were, again, complaining about how, the trailer gave away a lot of stuff from the ground. And yet we also saw new things, not in the trailer last week. So it kind of
the fact that we already had, that contact up there. And then I thought there was great stuff for Dioza, great stuff for Octavia.
Oh my God, I love Dioza.
Yes.
I love her so much.
But let's start, just by talking about that flashback at the beginning. I thought it was really well done. You could have just done it just to be like, oh, look how crazy things were. But they, made me care about the characters really quickly and then immediately tore them down.
I know.
And
if I can say, I like how they played with some things being, a little cheesy or, on the verge of being cheesy, but then actually being no, this is kind of cool. And then once it turns into a massacre, I mean... Yeah. What is wrong with me? I'm Dio's is my favorite. I love the massacre.
They definitely, I don't know if we're going to get more flashbacks or what, or if this is set up for a spinoff, but Josephine Lightborn, that's her name,
Josephine
right?
Ada Lightborn.
She was great.
She
was immediately
good. She could have been among our delinquents in season 1 and would not have felt out of place, which is why...
felt better than most of them in season 1.
Yes. But that's kind of what I was getting to of you have kind of things of sex and seduction, but she's also really smart and capable. And it's all those nice touches of her interactions with her family. And it was just so good. And her name is the one that's on the book.
Yeah. So one would assume she survives this attack and goes on to write the book.
Maybe be a leader of this group. At some point.
It's I need to make sure people know about this because my mom died this way. So
I think her mom is dead.
Yeah, no, I think her mom is pretty. I think her dad probably survives and then goes psycho or something because he killed his family and friends.
We'll see. But, I like that actor who plays her dad.
Yeah, I don't know if you get him for just one episode.
I don't know. We'll see.
Especially when
we'll see in future flashbacks.
Yeah, future flashbacks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Red Sun stuff.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah. So I think the reason this worked so well, I think, is the performances and the action. Mm-hmm. Because I think we knew what was going to happen to a certain degree, right? We knew they were going to go crazy, but we also knew no one was going to kill each other because I didn't expect anyone to actually successfully murder anyone.
I don't know. Yeah. I was getting a little bit worried for Jackson and/or Miller after last week, them being so cute and in love and trying to start their journey of redemption, especially Miller, that maybe this episode could have spelled something more deadly.
Yeah. But really what I think worked so well about it was Clark's bit of it.
Oh my God.
Very engaging, very horrifying, very sad.
I put this out on Twitter, but it really is everyone else at the time, although Murphy subverted it, was fighting with each other as each other's enemies, but Clark's biggest enemy was herself.
Yeah.
So it really is, the tagline is face your demons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She is. She's her own biggest demon.
And I liked how they played with Echo and all of her past stuff, which we're going to... I know we've heard there's going to be flashbacks for Echo this season, so that's sort of foreshadowing that.
Who those voices were in her head. I'm assuming the Ice Nation Queen was one of them, but there was also a man's voice in there.
Mm-hmm. And, so that was interesting. And then I loved very echoey to be like, fuck this, I'm going to drink myself. So that was great. And then Bellamy being like, I have to save everybody, very Bellamy. What the fuck was up with Murphy, though?
I have no idea. Why is Murphy... He's like talking to himself at the beginning, being like, they're the crazy ones. And then he convinces himself to be sane.
What was he saying? They're the crazy ones?
He was saying something while
I thought somebody else said they're the crazy ones.
He was cuddling a sniper rifle. I was focusing on that.
Yeah.
And then he shot at Bellamy more so than Clark?
Well, he shot at Bellamy when it looked like, now that in retrospect, it looked like Bellamy was going to attack Clark. So I think he actually was saving Clark there.
I could see that.
So that was interesting. I'm wondering if it had anything to do with the fact that he got the wounds that he did, that somehow protected him by something they used on the wounds or something.
Maybe.
I don't know, but especially because early on, he was being a super asshole to Clark, and I was like, I had to believe that was at least somewhat because he was being affected.
I thought so too, but I think that's just Murphy being Murphy.
Yeah,
at this
so
point.
I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm excited to hear what people think. What did we miss something there?
I saw some theory floating around that Murphy is so used to battling his inner demons that this wasn't difficult for him to overcome. But I feel like that's almost a cop out.
I also just don't believe that.
Yeah.
I feel like he's more of a person who hides his demon, who puts it in a box more than anything.
Yeah, considering he pushed Amori away on the ship and everything. So, I mean, we'll see. I have a feeling we'll get an explanation considering he has that blood infection going on.
Yeah.
That could be tied to it. Yeah, that to me means they're connected.
Yeah, unless there was something in the water.
That could also be true.
There's so many options.
It's a small detail, but I like that they mentioned the trank darts or whatever when Shaw is dying in the premiere, and he's like, save those for later. And now they're such a focal point of this. They're so necessary in this episode that it's oh, good. I'm glad they saved them.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting to think about how they ultimately saved themselves with the gas, which was also a negative attacking item on the other plot line here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that other plot line.
Yes.
Very interesting. I kind of saw it coming, and I still believe it, that these people who came in were trying to not hurt anyone. That they because I think what this season's going to be about is, at least on the surface to begin with, is the Sanctum people are the good guys that we're trying to emulate, right? So they come in, they gas, trying to protect themselves. They don't know who these people are or whatever. They want to check out the situation, but they're not trying to kill anyone. They say they will once Dioza is threatening them, but I don't even know if I believe that they actually would have done that.
The one thing I can theorize, or I feel okay theorizing, is that they knew about Aegis 4 being a prison transport ship. So them being we should protect ourselves because this could be very dangerous.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is they knew they had weapons, and they wanted to, that was their main mission was to go get the weapons.
Right.
So
interesting that the weapons are directly across from the airlock.
Yeah.
Interesting construction, but whatever.
Yeah. Very interesting visual appearance of these bad guys.
They look almost bug-like.
So Stormtrooper meets Bug. I thought that was cool. And then we got awesome stuff from Dioza.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dioza, Raven, and Maddie are the trio I didn't know I needed. But now I can't live without it.
Yeah, no, they were really cool. I love that they brought in Maddie at the end there. That was smart.
She's small enough to fit in the vents.
Yeah, we should have seen that coming when they said you need to be a child to go in there. Very smart.
Yeah.
And then I loved the Dio's are just very opening thing with her pretending to still be frozen.
She's
and
so smart.
Oh my God. And then she's pregnant, which makes her more badass.
It's so cool.
She's great. She's smart and she's great and she's badass. I love Diyoza.
And she just glows while she kills people. Speaking of other things.
Speaking of glowing while you kill people.
Not necessarily where I was going with that.
Where were you going?
I was going with speaking of things that happened on the ship.
Yes. I was going to talk about Octavia.
Me too.
Yeah, that's she was the one who's glowing. They are making me care about her, which I did not think they'd be able to do. I think it's a real tribute or whatever you want to call it to Marie's acting.
And she pulls it off.
And the writing. Because I was very much ready to write her off as she was a villain last year and that should have been the end of the character. And we've already seen characters get redeemed. And we've already seen even specifically her be like, I'm a monster. I want to die. I'm going to...
So that's the one criticism that I have, and that you brought up while we were watching is that haven't we seen this before?
Yeah, but it was done so well.
But it was so much more.
Yeah,
because of the reasoning behind it, because of the fact that at this point it really is hard to reject that she isn't doing things. What Kane said got to her.
Yeah,
because she wanted to be beat up by Nyla at that point, and then this just kept escalating and escalating, and it was, as you put it, you start to feel for her.
Well, they did a good job of what she's saying and what she's doing are not jiving. And it was this very interesting dissonance because what she was saying, I was like, man, these are kind of hard things to argue with, right? But even she doesn't really believe them,
right?
So it's interesting because she kind of does, but that's not enough, right?
I would say it's again the same thing to what she said to Kane in the premiere, where it's you agree with a lot of what she said, but then she kind of takes it to another degree where you're like, wait a second. And that's the thing with that extra degree, she knows she's provoking people.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, she wants her suffering to end. So the fact that Abby in her now drug-free state is let her suffer. It's so cold.
Well, no, that's what you took away from it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't take that at all.
Ooh.
She was being smart. She wanted to save Octavia. She feels bad about Octavia.
I don't think it has to be all one or the other, honestly.
No, I think it's that she was being very that was a good move on Abby's part, I think.
It was.
Because I think she cares and she feels guilty ultimately. Honestly, you talked about there was a point where Abby was about to say something and then Octavia cut her off. I think Abby was going to apologize. I think that Abby does feel crappy about what happened, even if she still, doesn't necessarily like Octavia or still does believe Octavia went too far or whatever. I mean, the thing is interesting if you're going to argue, is she right? Is she's like, oh, if they hadn't betrayed me, then it all would have worked out. And I'm like, yeah, but there are so many other ways that they could have outsmarted you or that you were still leading them into a battle that you assumed you could win as opposed to, the farm, which you could have just had, or you could have just tried to do some sort of diplomacy. But it's all an interesting mixture.
All I know for certain is that Jordan Jasper Green now sees her as his enemy because she dissed his father, and that is unacceptable.
Yeah, but I don't think Jordan Jasper Green knows what to do about enemies. I don't think he's...
We'll see if he learns by the end of the season.
I kind of hope he is a total pacifist and never hurts anyone.
Like his dad.
Well, his dad definitely hurt people, but maybe he can...
a farmer. Wait, someone, just to borrow once again for Twitter, he's on the ground. He's experiencing a planet for the first time.
They kind of should maybe have focused on that a little
totally
bit more.
didn't put that together. I was like, oh, cool, they're on the ground. I was like, I wish they gave him a moment.
Yeah.
Just a little bit longer to be like, whoa, because his biggest moment was watching Octavia storm off as the tracker. So if anything, she's not his enemy anymore.
Well, he's the one who's like, oh, we need a tracker.
Yeah, he says it,
But I will say, my God, the fact that she dissed Monty and I still don't absolutely despise her, that's really good writing.
I mean, watching someone bloodied and begging on their knees for release from their internal torment is better than Ilian this time.
It's definitely a better take on it. I still don't know where you go with it. But
their next thing is her and Bellamy and their mutual forgiveness. So we'll see how that plays out.
Well, I don't think that's the next thing. I think
mean,
that'll
the
be down
next
the road, but
grand scheme of things.
Anything else we need to talk about?
Well, just the very end.
Yeah.
The fact that we see the kids emerge from somewhere.
Yeah.
Underground.
Very interesting because there weren't any parents there, right?
There seemed to be like some slightly older children, but yeah, there were no like adults to be seen.
Yeah.
But that imagery is something.
Yeah.
It feels very hopeful and contrasts with our group in a really stark
especially
way.
Also and to a certain degree you were like, why aren't there parents with them? It's like you could think of that as like, oh, we leave our doors unlocked, and nothing bad ever happens here, why would we need
why do we need to supervise the children?
It's very interesting. I don't know if that's actually what they're going for, but
I don't know. But the fact that the kids are there and are asking, "Are you here to take us home?"
Yeah,
it bodes
very interesting.
It's trouble.
Well, so now, do you assume home is Earth?
Yes.
You don't think home could be another planet? Because there's the whole thing of they went to 5 different planets.
I thought about that, but I have a hard time believing that it's anything but
here's
Earth.
The thing. I mean, maybe it's Earth.
Because this was the first planet they went to as well.
Yeah.
So why would they assume that one of the other 4 planets is home?
Well, so maybe these people at one point were on that planet and then were pushed back to this planet. Because the reason I'm saying that is because to a certain degree, wouldn't it make more sense for a kid to call another planet home rather than Earth, which that's like such a foreign concept to them, right? Where they've never been to Earth. I mean,
if they're Earthlings on another planet, I mean, I see your point. I just think, man, how crappy would it be to not only be like invaders with all these weapons and whatever, but then you say we invaded because our home, your home, Earth is destroyed.
I mean, and that's probably the most likely thing because maybe it's just that they don't have enough stuff to like survive long term or whatever.
Or, this is not a great planet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't see that coming.
No.
Yeah.
So look at that, still surprising us after all the other surprises. Yeah. I just really love this episode.
Yeah. I can't wait to rewatch, take diligent notes, and really dive in. So check us out on Sunday by 7 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna
send your feedback.
Yeah, we're gonna send in. We're gonna put it's just audio for the longer podcast. So if you want to be part of that podcast, you can either comment down below on the YouTube video, or you can leave us a little thing on the contact form on the100podcast.com. You can email us at the100pod@gmail.com. What's the other thing they can do?
Tweet us.
Oh yeah, the 100 podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching/listening. And what do we say on this channel?
May we meet again.
Oh, may we meet again.
They've only been saying it on this show for years.
I was going to say, I hope you're doing okay.
So
that messed with my brain.
Fair enough.
I hope you're doing okay, too. Bye, guys.
Bye.